Welcome to our workshop. Today is on the right way, composing a curriculum vitae. I'm Julie with the Elite Graduate Program, and welcome to our workshop. Today we have three fine speakers, which I will allow when they are turned to speak, they will further introduce themselves. But in the meantime, we have Chelsea Perez, Jillian Lawlor, and Michelle Garza. So let's, without any further ado, start this thing going. Who's?
I am. Yes. Hello. All right. Well, like she said, I am Michelle Garza. I teach composition here, freshman comp, here at TAMU CC, Wave of the Future. I'm also a writing consultant here. I've been a writing consultant off and on for about 2 years now. 3 years now, I guess. About 3 years, 2, 3 years. So welcome to the center. This is our lovely center. And so basically we're just going to kind of run through like the basics of a curriculum vitae, how to write one, how to compose one, draft one, the purposes, its functions, and such through here. So we have our little nifty PowerPoint that'll take you through it. So first, what is a CV? Basically, if you think of it, it's kind of just like a snapshot of you. You're giving your employers just like a brief snapshot into you, what you've done in your field, what you've done, you know, in preparation for a job, for a position in the actual work field itself. And it establishes like a professional image in that sense. So like it's like allowing them to see you before they actually see you. So it's like, do you want them to see you as a suit and tie kind of person? Then your CV is going to kind of represent that. And also, it gives the following information. Basically, it'll give your background, interests, and experiences within the field itself, the field of study. So if it's in biological sciences, everything that you've kind of done and worked up to this point, and what your focused interest in the field are, within the field are, specifically. So, also, when should you use a CV? When should I use a CV? Basically, when you're applying for research positions or when you're applying for teaching positions. These are the two that it's typically used for. Otherwise, I mean, typically it's like a resume, but CVs are kind of, I mean, it's kind of a myth that they're like longer than resumes typically, but they give a lot more information than a resume would. And that's, you know, it allows your employer to see your investment within the field itself. So yeah, so when you're applying for those types of positions. The organization of a CV, like how should it be organized? Basically, there's not really a standard or correct way to organize a CV. I know a lot of people might tell you, okay, well, look at this example. It's a good example of a CV. But it really depends on the job that you're applying for, the type of position that it is. And the purpose of the CV itself. Like, are you using it for, I guess, like to apply for a job, or are you using it to apply for an assistantship somewhere? Are you using it to apply for a scholarship? Some scholarship committees might ask that you submit your CV. Panel presentations and stuff, when you apply for conferences and stuff, they might ask for your CV. For general introduction purposes and just to see your input into the field as well. So depending on your purpose, it's going to determine the type of information that you put in there and the way that you organize that information. So some questions, basic questions to kind of think about as you're preparing your CV. What job are you applying for and what field is it in? And these basic questions can help you determine categories to include and the categories to kind of emphasize as well. What do you want to put up front? How much more do you want to talk about your teaching experience rather than just, you know, your related work experience? Stuff like that. And then, so yeah, the organization is going to change depending on the purpose of the CV itself, what you're using it for. Cool? Awesome. Okay. So CV categories, if you've ever seen a CV, a lot of them have multiple categories, but basically the ones that kind of go across every discipline and every field are these three. They're the essential basics. They're the ones that are always included in every CV that you see, which is the contact info, which is basically your name, your physical address, an email address, and a telephone number. So you're giving them every means to contact you. And then also your educational background, which includes your degree, where you got that degree from, and the dates in a CV. Sorry, as opposed to a resume, they're typically optional. You don't have to include like when you got the thing. However, if you do mention that you obtained a degree and you haven't gotten that degree yet, it could cause a big hoopla. And your employers might not, or your potential employers might kind of look down upon that. Or even if you're applying for like law school or PhD programs, they might look down on that. So you want all of the information to be on there, that is on there. You want it to be truthful and as up to date as possible. And then also relevant experience to the field or to whatever it is that you're applying for. So like if you're applying to a PhD program that's really research heavy based, you want to include a lot of your research information and like stuff that you've done that's relevant to what it is that you're applying for. Cool. Yes. So here are some other like possible CV categories. A lot of them mention like your thesis or your dissertation, especially if you have a PhD. You definitely want to mention your dissertation. Theses, like it's usually optional whether or not you want to mention that you did a thesis and what your thesis was on. Any fellowships that you might have obtained like over the course of your scholastic career. Areas of interest in teaching or research, just basic directions that you want to go in the field. Teaching assistantships, research assistantships, publications and presentations, that always looks really good. Works in progress, related professional experience, languages, other interests, of qualifications and references. Typically all of these just kind of show your investment, like how much they show your employee that you're like really invested in what it is, or your employer, that you're really invested in what it is that you're applying for, or whomever you're speaking with. So, just some recommendations. If you plan on teaching, or just basically to plan on teaching at or below the bachelorette level, then you want to focus on teaching experience, teaching interests, qualifications as a generalist, etc. So if you plan on teaching below the bachelor level. If you plan on applying to institutions with graduate and or professional programs, if you're using your CV to apply to these, then you want to emphasize your teaching ability, because a lot of times that'll help you get assistantships and even scholarships or stipends or something. Also scholarly productivity, research interest, areas of specialization, etc., etc. Okay. So now we're going to show you some sample CVs, and I will give the mic over to this lovely lady.
Oh, or to me? Okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Chelsea. I've been working here at the Writing Center for almost a year now, and I'm an English graduate student working on my master's. So, hello. Okay, so the little packet I just handed to you guys, if you want to flip to, let's see, the first sample CV that's in there. The first sample that's in there, I know the writing at the top got cut off, but this is an MBA sample CV. So there was just a couple of things in here that I wanted to point out. Let's see here. So what you're going to notice first is that they have their different like degrees that they've earned. And you'll see that the most recent one is the MBA itself. And then you notice that it says Honors, School of Management, and then College of Law, Scholar Tuition Scholarship. What that represents about this CV is that it's going to be like a dual purpose CV, because this person has an interest in corporate law, so they would need to showcase not only their business experience, but what they've done with the field of law itself. So like when you go to the second page, you see the law internship on there. So in this case, it would be really appropriate for them to put information about not only business but law as well. I mean, in most cases, you'll see a lot of CVs where there's emphasis sort of in one specific field. For this person, they needed to talk about both. So, was there anything else we needed to say about this one? No?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. So then on the next page, we have, do you want to talk about the humanities one?
Sure.
Okay, I'll pass it to Jillian for this one.
Okay, the next one we have is for the humanities. So the focus on this one is education and the degree that this person is currently working on. You'll notice that it also has a heavy emphasis on awards and teaching experience, because if you're going for a PhD program or just after that, that's usually what they're trying to encourage or what they want to see in their applicants. And otherwise, it's pretty much standard for these. It has many of them like teaching experience, department, campus involvement, professional affiliations. They always want to see that because they want people who are involved and part of committees. A strange thing that I learned from doing this, which I didn't have on my CV, is you're supposed to have a languages section and include English fluency on there, even if you have a master's degree in English. So keep that in mind. You're proficient in an extra language there. Otherwise, you have your related experience on there, and they don't have it on this particular version, but sometimes they also have the request for, what's it called, with the outside sources? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's not that important.
One thing I want to note, real quick about the languages is that you also, on this CV, I guess this wasn't the best example, but you want to put what type of proficiency you have. So let's say that your first language is English and you have proficiency in Spanish as a second language. You would want to put sort of to what degree, like are you only able to do research in it? Are you fluent in it in both speaking and writing? You would definitely want to be specific as to how fluent you are in your second, third, fourth languages, things like that.
Especially if you're
Oh,
if you're planning on applying to like an HSI kind of school, like a Hispanic Serving Institution, or like an ASI, where they'll probably be looking at people who are proficient in other languages that can actually add, I guess, to
Right.
the
So I
program
think
itself.
it's all about like thinking about audience and purpose. If the purpose of your CV is to get you a job teaching or in an administrative position at a place like TAMU CC, highlighting your fluency in Spanish would definitely, well, hopefully help you get the job. So yeah. So do we want to move on to the last one that we have?
Sounds good.
So this third one is a sciences CV. This particular one was dental science. Did you want to talk about this one? Or?
Up to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'll talk about a little bit about the beginning here. Just notice at the beginning the emphasis on not only the degrees but certifications as well. And in an applied science like dental science, you would definitely want to put any certificates that you have, just to show that you have. I mean, obviously some certificates are going to be required, but there are additional certifications you can earn in applied sciences, so you're going to want to showcase all the work that you've done in your field and everything like that. And I think that definitely you want to talk about honors. That would definitely be like up there on the list of things to showcase about yourself with an applied science degree. Do we have anything else about that one? I guess.
The only other things I'd mention is this one is closest to most of the fields outside of the humanities. So if you're in engineering, any of the sciences, those kind of fields, it resembles this more closely than it does the previous CVs.
And also too, notice how research and things like that are not right at the beginning of this CV. What's probably going on here is that this person isn't necessarily applying to get into a master's program, PhD program. They're not trying to teach dental science, but maybe they're trying to just go get a job as a dentist or something like that. So some distinctions there. And I think that's about all we have for the sample CVs, and really the presentation itself. We were going to try to spend time after the presentation to work on like peer editing on your CVs if you brought them. So are there any questions or comments, concerns? No? Okay, well then I guess we will start the peer review then on the CVs if y'all have them with you.